All right. Hi, everyone. This is our last session of the day, and we're ending on such an exciting note. We're really glad to welcome Kate Rolander. A reminder once again that we are recording, and that if you all have questions or thoughts that are coming up, you can, of course, put those in the chat, and we'll make sure to keep a pretty quick eye on those. But I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Kate for introducing VCU's Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center, Partnering for Impactful Learning. And by way of introduction, Kate Rolander holds an MA in teaching English to speakers of other languages from Northern Arizona University and has taught English language in Mexico, Argentina, and Ukraine, as well as domestically. Her research and professional work center on how learner identities shift from situation to situation and how those identities impact the learning process. Kate, we're really excited to learn from you today.
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Helen, for reaching out and inviting me here today. I've been a long-term supporter and fan and former, and hopefully again, volunteer with Reestablish Richmond. It was a while back, but I did have the honor of being an English tutor for a whole family and then a mentor for another in 2016 and 2017. So I'm looking forward to getting back to that. But I'm very excited, and I want to make this session as conversational as possible. I do wonder, just for a couple instances, if it's possible to have screen sharing possibilities. Thank you. So I am Kate Rolander. I am the director of the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center. Thank you so much, Helen. And I'm here today just to introduce ourselves. We are very intentionally beginning to partner with Reestablish Richmond. We're going to start off with who we are and what we do and where we are, and then talk a little about how we do the things we do. And then I'd really like to open it up to questions and possibilities, because we're very open to partnering in new ways. So as I go through what we are, please send your questions to the chat or just unmute, whatever feels more comfortable. So I'm going to share really quickly. So the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center is a statewide teacher professional development and technical assistance center for the field of adult education in the entire state of Virginia. And we're run through Virginia Commonwealth University, but, and this is important for the work we do, we're funded through the Virginia Department of Education and the Virginia Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services, which works specifically with adults with disabilities. We're often funded, sometimes, depends on when, through the Community College System and Virginia Employment Commission. So we're very connected with the workforce development system that the state offers here in Virginia. And what we offer are free professional development and instructional design resources for adult education teachers across the state. And just as a context for Virginia, as you probably are well aware and may have been covered earlier today, is a very popular destination state for especially recent evacuee and refugee populations moving to the United States. So right now it's 65% of the adult learners we serve across the state are English learners. So I'm going to share very quickly and start off what might seem like a tangential and not related activity, but it definitely is. So here is our next, I'm going to be very fluid with this plan today. I also need to slightly apologize. My house was not a good place to work today. There's work being done. So I come to you from my car, and I'm in the parking lot of the Virginia Museum of History and Culture. So if we get a lot of sleet, you might hear it, but that's all fine. That's the age of working fluidly from wherever we are. So just for a moment, if you could just indulge me, this is one of my favorite things, the sheep scale. And in the chat, just on looking at each of these little pictures of sheep is a 1 to 10. Which sheep corresponds most with how you're feeling in your life today? And I like to do this. Well, I'll go into why we do this, but a huge focus of our work is on trauma-informed care and social and emotional learning. And these kinds of check-ins are kind of a nice way to get the temperature of the room, see where people are. I know for myself, with the humidity in particular, I'm probably a good 3. So that's mine. Oh, Jennifer, that 2 is like the happiest one in there. So 2, and there's a springy one. Yes, we're all over the sheep scale. Oh, 7, yeah, 7's tired, right? And one of these, so the sheep scale is freely available, and there's also I'm not everyone feels this way, but I'm also a squirrel fan. So there's lots of different scales you can find. But doing these emotional check-ins during the day can be sometimes a good way to find out how the room is feeling. And then as an additional just kind of ask, we can see why people chose the certain sheep they chose. Mine is 3 because I will admit the car is not my most like comfortable spot for talking and presenting, but it's going to be fine. So I'm just going to hear and I'm going to embrace it. Would anyone else like to talk about their sheep choice before we move on? Well, thank you for indulging and for all the sheep scale responses in the chat. So what I'm going to cover quickly is just who we are at the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center at VCU, why we do what we do, where we are, and how we do what we do. So I have, if you see me looking to the side, it's because I've had to take notes because I'm very good about just getting ahead of myself by several slides. So I'm trying to keep myself honest here and to respect the time we have and make sure there's time for questions. So this in a nutshell is what we are and what we do. Our mission, and I apologize, but I'm going to go ahead and read it so that people can see and read it. To equip the field of adult education and literacy with essential skills and resources by delivering innovative and effective training, publications, curriculum design, and program development through an equity mindset. And the what we do is here. So it's primarily through these ways, professional development for the state of Virginia, in these content areas. So adult literacy, reading, writing, and numeracy. Family literacy. So we're really working on family engagement and participation in this K-12 schooling system. English language acquisition, workforce preparation, teacher leadership across all fields, digital skills development, and high school equivalency. And in Virginia, that means a GED. So that's the what of what we do. I'm going to pop into a couple sites. So one of the reasons Kate invited me here today is because we got together to talk about adult education in the Richmond area in particular. And I'll emphasize again, I know that Reestablish Richmond is a Richmond organization, but we are statewide. So we serve all the counties and municipalities of the entire state and do a lot of work across states too. But we also, I'm going to stop share for a moment so that at this particular time, our ESOL specialist, English to Speakers of Other Language specialist, Haley Massey, is teaching a class on Sunday mornings for Reestablish Richmond. And we're using that opportunity, and we have an MOU with Reestablish Richmond to develop curricula in real time for teaching classes of newly arrived refugee populations and really focusing on how an instructor can work with a full range of skill levels, English skill levels, literacy skill levels, education skill levels, and cultural skill levels, as well as digital skill levels. So there's a lot of different skills to check on there. So we are excited about this opportunity because it allows us to, with feedback and a lot of help from Reestablish Richmond, to develop and reassess how we're instructing in real time, and then to put that out with all the feedback as a resource for other programs and for Reestablish Richmond in particular to use going forward. So that is what initiated this particular talk, I think. And we're looking, we really are looking at expanding our access in the Richmond area in particular, because we have been focused on our statewide reach. So I'm going to share a couple links in the chat too. I'm going to share this one. I'm popping into the why of our work right now. So here in the chat, this is so we partner very closely with a team out of the Wilder School, the government school of policy at Virginia Commonwealth University. And they this past year were commissioned by, and this is in the chat now, commissioned by the Department of Social Services to develop a report with the Office of New Americans on the barriers to integration for refugees and immigrants in Virginia in particular. And with that, they came up with 8 policy recommendations. We're working with them very closely to develop a portal for new refugees and immigrants available in all of the language spoken by the refugees and immigrants who come to the state to access all of the state services that are available to them. Because as you probably know very well, it's not an intuitive or very well-connected system. So that is where the why is very important, because we are seeing an influx of language speakers that we have not seen before in our program. So what we are doing very much is trying to focus our energies on developing resources to help our instructors, our caseworkers, and our social service colleagues to best serve the populations in their local areas. So if you look through these story maps at your leisure, and the report that comes with them, I'm going to share again for a moment. If you scroll down a smidge, you'll see the access to, here we are, immigrants in Virginia, this story map. Are you able to see my shared screen? Okay, thank you. And I'm very envious of the software they were able to use for this, because it does, as you scroll down, it's a really good, very quick visual representation of where, and this one first is foreign-born populations, but then also they tell, and if you keep going, and I'm not going to go through the text here, it gives stories about specific languages that are growing and the changes in different places. The changes in foreign-born population across the state are important because certain areas of the state are much more equipped to best serve English learners than others. Some of our, especially in Southside and Southwest Virginia, are very new to this. So services and technical assistance are especially important in those areas where foreign-born populations are increasingly and very quickly making up portions of their population. So please keep, and I am happy if this is okay, Katie and Helen, I can send out this presentation with all the links afterwards, because I think I want to make sure there's time for some sharing, but I also want to make sure like maybe some questions and leave you with lots of resources to look at later on. I'm going to pop back to my presentation just for a minute. So I'm also going to go into, so this is our story maps. Those were from our colleagues at the Wilder School at VCU. And they've done, and I'll also in the follow-up send out the link to their DSS, the social services report. It's really great. And I think their policy recommendations are right on. Where of course we focus is on quality instruction. So this is our site, VALRC.org, the Virginia Adult Learning Resource Center. And I'm going to see what I'm going to first look at who we are. So just so you know who's on staff. So our about here. So this is us. And if you look at the about page of our resource center of our site, you'll see myself, Katie Bradisachs, instructional technology. And I'm going through this so you see the wide range of instructional specificities that we cover here. So Hillary Major is she's our specialist for reading and instructional standards. Haley Massey, some of you may be familiar with her. She's our ESOL instructional specialist and is working with Reestablish Richmond right now, or actually more specifically tomorrow morning. And then Elizabeth Severson Irby is our literacy specialist, and she is right on it as far as reading for native English speakers and English learners alike. So that's where we are, and a huge focus of our work, particularly right now, is on, I'm going to stop share for a moment, is on working with trauma-informed care and social emotional learning. So that's a huge focus for us right now. So what I'm going to do really quickly is first give you a quick snapshot of where we are, and then talk about our event calendar and what resources we have that are open to everyone in the state, including anyone associated with Reestablish Richmond. So I'll reshare again. I like to unshare just so faces can be a little more visible sometimes. But our whole system is divided into 22 regions. So we're here in the whole Richmond area. And then if we look over here, you'll see that we have specific programs serving English learners in workforce preparation, wherever you see these little dots. So we're very spread out over the entire state, especially in Northern Virginia and here in the Richmond area. and then the Tidewater region. But our reach is pretty statewide, and we're working very closely with our local providers to give more specific training and more development to Richmond programs. I apologize for the scrolling on screen. What I'm going to do right now is talk about the how we do all of our works. And this has to do with our professional development offerings. And maybe we pop in. And before I leave, I'm going to go into the resources very quickly because we have a lot of, everything here is free and open for use. Nothing on here is proprietary, and everything is open to anyone who has interest in learning about quality instruction for adults and specifically for English learners. And these are the ways we do it. We have facilitated online courses that are usually 6 to 8 weeks. We have virtual professional learning communities, including one that's meeting next week, serving refugees across the state. And these are great opportunities to learn about what other programs in other parts of the state and beyond are doing with refugee populations to help connect them to services, to improve academic outcomes, to improve workforce outcomes, and to connect families with their children's education too. Increasingly, since the pandemic, we've been offering webinar series. And then we also have self-paced online tutorials that we can access anytime. We use Canvas at VCU as our learning management system. And we have lots of technical assistance to help anyone with whatever digital skill access, with whichever digital skill levels they need, access our courses. And then online open discussions. Sometimes it's just helpful to have a space to talk to people you normally wouldn't see across the state, maybe people you don't usually work with. And this is really important and very well intended, but also a great way for us to learn about what the needs are across the state and what people are doing. So we're going to do events and then network and then resources, and hopefully that'll give us plenty of time for any questions and comments. So this is just a snapshot. Our events calendar, and I'm going to send you the link to I'll put it in the chat before we go, but I'll also send the link to our site. As you can see here, we have lots of stuff going on. We'll pop into, if you click on any, so here, for example, is the VALRC on the February 23rd, Serving Refugees, New Americans, Immigrants, PLC. That's another thing. Okay, if you click on it, you get the option here. There's more description of the event and an option to register and to add to calendar. It doesn't matter how affiliated you are with any program. These are all open and available for the public. We also put things together on request. So if there's something that Reestablished Richmond would like, if you're finding a need for instruction or connecting to services, we're happy to build that, open it up, put it on, and market it, whatever it is your needs are. But this is all through our event calendar and our PD opportunities list. A couple things I'd like to show you, and I know I just feel like a half an hour is so little time, so I'm trying to get out as much as possible. In our network section, we have a couple really nice series, 2 podcast series, Voices from the Field, that really has to do with adult learning, and then Stories from the Field, you'll see here, have to do with student testimonials and instructor testimonials from across the state. And you'll see people who have earned their GEDs, gone on to get higher education. So lots of great and very inspiring student stories. And I bring these up because we do have a couple from our immigrant and refugee populations, but more specifically, I'm going to go back. We have a new student learner publication called Spotlight. And the Spotlight, here we are, Spotlight publication of Learner Network. And I'm going to actually put this link in the chat because most of the stories here, I would say about 90% of the stories in this Spotlight are from English learners around the state. And they're incredibly telling and very strong testimonials of journeys to the United States, things they find different ways they've adapted or are having challenges adapting to life here in the United States. And just a quick plug here too, we do have plenty of hard copy versions of this. So if you're interested in having a hard copy version, just reach out and I'll send my email too. But the Spotlight here is an annual publication. We put out a call for submissions, and we have a few of our community-based organization partners who work with us. I'm stopping sharing again, to do writing projects with their students where they're able to share their stories and submit. And this is a great way to work with learners on their writing, which is an incredibly important and self-fulfilling, self-efficacy building and confidence building skill to have when you're moving to a new place, but also a great way to share stories and share with other agencies the work we're doing. Another resource I'd like to, I put this wrong thing. Another resource I'd like to share with you all is the Change Agent. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Change Agent. It's an adult learner publication out of Massachusetts, out of a national national center called World Ed. And I'm putting this in here. We have purchased a statewide subscription, and you all are welcome to use this. And I'll also put this in the notes. But this is a great resource, and it has semi-annual issues, and each issue covers a certain topic, and they're all written by adult learners. But it comes with activities, and it comes with like reading levels and instructional design, basically, that you can adapt and contribute for whoever you're working with. And you are welcome to use this. I'm going to give you the username and password. Username, it's easy to remember, VALRC 2023. And then the password there. And I'll send this out too. But it's a great instructional resource, and also something just maybe of interest for our learners who are refugees and immigrants coming, and to find other people with similar stories who have written about it, but also very goal-oriented towards adult instruction and workforce development, which is what we do a lot. I don't have so much time to go into social emotional learning strategies that we focus on, but I would like to quickly show a couple of just one of the rationales for what we do. So the resources that we use and proliferate and disseminate are very research-based, and they're based on studies about how learners self-identify and how they are perceived by other people, and the perceptions that they share, that they feel that other people put on them. So unqualified English learner. I spoke with one woman from El Salvador, and she was, as soon as she spoke Spanish, everyone would assume she was Mexican. She's like, that's fine, but that's not who I am, and I'm having an identity put upon me rather than being able to share my own story. People are, one woman I worked with from Brazil, very outgoing at home, but here she finds it very hard to talk with anyone. And I bring all this up and the assumption that they perhaps aren't legal, or what that means for them and what their capacity to build a life in this country is, depending on their status. So all of these kind of their perceived identities put on them versus what they feel and what they know of their own experiences at home as professionals and friends and family members, community members, and a Salvadorian rather than a Mexican national. So all of these challenges with identity and adapting to a new culture where it's not always easy to share your personal experiences and integrate into the community or the civic life is very important, which is the reason why we really are working very hard to focus our efforts and our work and our partnerships on trauma-informed care, social emotional learning, and storytelling. So the more we can learn about more that we can learn about each other, the better we can help each other. So that's my VALRC in a nutshell. And what I would like to do as kind of a follow-up is to invite anyone to reach out and contact us. I'm going to put my email in the chat. And Kate Daly, well, so this is my email address, and I can send this to you, but also if you go to any of our website pages, there's a contact form at the bottom, VALRC.org. And we would love to build resources, provide any training we can. We can also contract with outside experts and host screenings, or if there's a learning opportunity surrounding the movie we just talked about, for example, we would love to explore those kinds of just chances to get together and learn as a community. So that's our brief introduction, and I'm open for any questions, any comments, any suggestions. There's a couple in the chat. Oh, it's not for me, but
Kate, thank you for sharing all this incredible information, and to be watching this resource really take shape, particularly in partnership with Reestablish Richmond in such amazing ways. Getting some enthusiasm in the chat from Erica, which is awesome. Are there questions that are coming up for people or things that would be helpful to know more about? And there's a lot that would be helpful to know more about, the things, immediate things that we're thinking of.
Kate, can I share the change agent website and the password username in the raise follow-up email?
Yes, please, with everybody. And if it seems like something even some of your the clients you work with would be interested in, please give them access to it too. And I know some people, and of course we're focused on learning and instruction. Some people feel more comfortable working on their own pace alone sometimes. And this is a great resource. I would also share the Spotlight resource with them, the adult learning resource, and I can send those specific links too, but please, yeah, share this far and wide. We basically bought an unlimited subscription access for the year. So if we don't talk before next year, the password might change to 2024, but besides, I'm looking for, we have developed a social emotional learning toolkit for English learners. So I'm going to look that up real quick and put that in the chat. It's one thing I didn't get to, but we do have a very strong, a large database of resources on our site, but it's a very searchable site. So there's a magnifying glass to search. And if you search for any resource, you can find it. But I am going to put this one particular one. Yes, here we go. Social and emotional learning for adult multilingual learner toolkit. And we have found, at least from my experience lately too, that if you can combine social emotional learning with trauma-informed care and then universal design for learning, you can reach just about everyone. So this is a great toolkit, and everything's freely available. When we're always so happy to receive any questions or requests, and we'd be happy to invite or even create new groups, connect across the state, however we can help and partner. I really appreciate the opportunity. I know it's fast. I feel like an auctioneer, or like this old micro machine, those little cars, those little car commercials. I feel like I did that for half an hour, but thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share what we do. And I hope we can partner more and more going forward.
Thank you so much for being with us this afternoon, particularly braving the rain and the car, and yeah, pulling
cozier than I imagined. So I might do this going forward.
Amazing. And for sharing the sheep scale, especially. I think that's a real highlight this afternoon for sure. Awesome. This is our last session together of the day, and it was such a highlight to end on, thinking about all of the possibilities for continued learning and growth together. Helen, I really want to hand it over to you last, just to see if there's anything else that we need to be thinking about as we're leaving this space today, or things that you would want us to be considering a little bit more.
Thank you all for being here and for taking the time to spend these 2 days with us. Just looking out for next week, I'm going to be sending an email with a link to the recordings. They'll be on a YouTube playlist. Feel free to share it with anyone who might benefit from this resource, but you don't want to, keep it from anyone. And there'll be also a link for a survey, so you can give us some feedback on the sessions, the registration process, all of it. We're happy to hear it. And I'm also going to include any PowerPoints or resources that our speakers wanted me to pass along. So that's it from me for next week. Be a little patient, maybe later in the week, not Monday. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for being here and for coming in person to yesterday's events, but also showing up virtually. We appreciate it.